Lighting up a team in the distance. It's going to be Muzz and Sphinx right now. Couple tags come out. Those are tags that Peterbot will just not miss.
Yeah, a little bit of a different game this time around. It does look like it's going to continue to go towards the north, over towards Wonky Land, maybe the north side of the map, Frigid Fortress. So Peterbot Pollo do have access to that rift if they do want to use it. Haven't really seen it in play too much so far on the day, but sometimes you got to save the tricks to when you do need it most. Aegis and Ritual, you can see some of their early games so far throughout the first two. It was Storm Surge early because they're not contested and the surrounding land isn't as contested as it usually is. They're just going to have to hunt for that Storm Surge rather than sit in the zone.
Got a couple highlights though. This is one from Listen and Aloe's duo. Oh, they find someone fresh off the reboot. Quick finish there, and then of course they're gonna go into Collapse on the solo. Just like that, they earn their first set of points here in the finals lobby. Jumping back to Paper though. Paper went from early eliminations at the drop now to fighting Bucky and Zen here. Bucky's in big danger. Zen forced to back him up right now, give him a little bit of room to work with.
Paper and Resi have been rotating north to end up in this position. Mending Machine is right there, so you can kind of see what their focus is. Resi doesn't have a ton of gold, so it's not really going to get much out of it. You got to hope Paper has the lion's share of that one. But they're just really trying to control this whole side of the map. But for Bucky and Zen, you see empty item slots, not a lot of builds, not a lot of heals. They're in a drastic situation. Maybe not in a spot to where they start to get desperate, but they have to start thinking what plan B is going to be.
I was going to say, remember, Peterbot and Pollo were desperate for Surge last game. Look at the adjustment in their strategy. They find a duo that seems to be somewhat isolated from the rest of the rotate, and now they're going in hyper aggressively.
Run from one team to the next. A lot of teams on the north side of the map, for some reason, making their way down south. You can see the drop is there. Almost a little bit more of a reward outside of the eliminations, but Pollo lands the first big shot to try to break things up. Peterbot is going ahead and putting pressure, cleaning up that elimination, easing up that Storm Surge pressure here. You called it out. Last game wasn't the best game for them in terms of Storm Surge. In fact, it was almost the reason why they went down early, got lobby focused. Now with that elimination there, they're going to be able to claim that drop to themselves and maybe even move back to their POI.
Yeah, and the speed of which they can finish a fight is definitely the difference maker from them to a more average pro team. Jumping in with Cold and Rapid here. We got a little update with the situation. Talk about that Mythic shotgun in hand. It's definitely power loadout here. And, ooh, Cold with a quick two-piece right there. That's a plus 50 for them.
Who's counting up on the Surge for them? 110 points so far throughout 2 games. Cold and Rapid in 4th place, but just like the first and second place point differential, you got Visuals and Braids right underneath at 109. They won our first game of the day, really setting the tone and the pace that everybody has to follow up on. So it's definitely not going to be easy. Wagers and Slepsy rotating on over towards Riptide. They used to land here, but didn't want to end up in a disadvantaged fight, so they went ahead and went elsewhere as Flex goes down, leaving Light by himself. Plenty of heals in the Chug Jug and the Splashes to get up to 200 effective shield and HP. Nut has the same comfortability with the Slapperoni Pizza on the other side, but it's a 1v1 with the zone. Find the time to get the reboot.
Finding a reboot's always difficult as well. It just attracts so much attention to you. And look at this. Talk about attention being drawn. There's a team moving in hot from the west side already now. Light and Flex are on a timer. I mean, obviously we know Light's by himself. He's got to wrap this one up or Nut's got to fight back, but if they can't, it'll be the end for both of them. It's actually Penta and Power who are lurking up and in now.
Big advantage though for Light. In terms of the solo players, he does have a lot of the HP heals, but Power and Penta crouching, hiding, but they get a big elim onto Light. A worthwhile elim. Look at Power's inventory before and after. Now they're getting a bunch of materials, a bunch of extra heals, the Splashes and the Chug Jug. Even though they don't necessarily stacked out in terms of shockwaves, they came for what they wanted and they got it, and now they're just continuing on with the rest of their game. Hopefully they can find a safe spot in zone, so this is actually worth it.
I'm just laughing. I'm thinking like, put myself in Nuts' position where he's like, oh my gosh, and he just stops moving. He's got his pizza out. He's like, bruh, please. And then they leave. So he gets really lucky. Bailed out a desperate spot there. And you know he's got the reboot card, so they will get to continue their tournament life here. Acorn and Bolts, completely different situation here. Much more chill scenario on hand. Pretty much just camping the launch pads right now with the zone on top of them. So nothing to worry about right now.
Ooh, this is where it looks to get a little spooky. Think about Pollo. Yeah, this is where they actually kind of land for the most part. They have the slurp trucks that's there, the vending machine, and we saw Peterbot farm up trucks that's there, the vending machine, and we saw Peterbot farm up a lot of his metal. Quick moment there where you said it yourself, looking dangerous with Curve and Veno rotating nearby. We saw the sheer amount of lurks throughout the first 2 games so far, using the vending machines as a distraction for teams, and that's how they picked up not only damage but eliminations. Probably seeing how far the zone is actually pulling towards the north, so instead of waiting, they probably realized they already have some good surge eliminations early, so they're trying to beat every other team to the punch.
Yeah, I'm just thinking they got spider senses like Curve and Veno reading the situation like, nah, maybe not this team. Let's just go go to this storm. It's going to be the best decision they make in this game, that's for sure. A clash for Peterbot and Pollo when there's 700 above the surge is not the type of Peterbot and Pollo you want to fight right now. Not in this game, not in this lobby. Love that we got to see a little glimpse of Osidon's scarce position there. That sleeper duo that has been creeping up the standings bit by bit. Mako and Blanks, though, quite the rotate for them to make here. Kerillian, meanwhile, whoa, nice little knock out the sky there. Someone's fired up.
I'm always a what have you done for me lately type of guy, and honestly, in the short span that Jargu and Kerillian have played together, Monster, they have won 3 games in set lobbies through their heat or through the last chance qualifier and the eval finals. So even though right now they're sitting on 40 points, I wouldn't necessarily be too worried. This team can pull out some insane moments and victories. Just unfortunate they are contested at the far eastern side of the map, going against Sniper Dude and Avenger. So not every game is going to be guaranteed. Just goes to show Kerillian taking advantage of those little opportunities while you can. Peterbot and Pollo, they did clean up a few eliminations here. We saw one early, one in the feed, and you can see they're rotating away from Tyler and Chance. Already up towards the zone, but they're going to where they think it is going to open up and give them a little bit more cushion in terms of spacing.
Nice little find right there to get the chug barrels. But I did want to say, you know, 40 points is still in the race. Like, remember, the real winners are who's going to land, who's in top 13 when this is all said and done. So if you're 40 points, you're 60 points like Cooper and Ree. I mean, you're in the conversation right now. Your shoes are tied, you know. You're on the track here. You got to respect it so far. But again, this is only game 3, right? We're about halfway through day 1.
A quarter of the game's already completed. You can kind of see Cooper, Ree, trying to see if anybody else is going to make a late rotation off the side of that mountain. They're ready and waiting for it to happen. QK and Khan, 57 below the damage threshold. Right now it is going to be a 2-tick, but that's going to quickly switch on over to a 5-tick. So timing is of the essence to get in towards the zone. So they don't necessarily have to rush for the Storm Surge. QK does anyway. Not only gets the elimination, but puts them above the damage threshold. And it's usually when you're on that line, Monster, teams get desperate and they start to make mistakes. So glad to see them already answer the call.
Yeah, their timing couldn't have been better. Like, the zone pulls to their side. So many teams are exiting from the Wadki land, storm into the edge, kind of congested positioning there. And I want to update from Clicks and Higgs as well. Like, this is their drop, right? This is the dream scenario. You're in the lead point-wise. Then you get the whole zone to land on top of your POI when you normally play natural high ground. This is a crazy development happening in general right now for Game 3. Bolts and Acorn have invested a lot to get to the safety here. And look at this. Not a lot of heals to work with, so the pizza box comes out. This is obviously, I'd say, the best heal, right? Like, in the game right now, for sure, as far as quick heals are concerned.
Look at the background. Creon went down. Almost held my breath. Thought it was somebody else for a moment. Paper is going to be knocked as well. A couple of players left as solos in some big moments here. No bigger moment than this for Rezzy. 348 below the damage threshold. Rezzy literally put the team on his back just to get this spot in finals. 2 games gone already. 341. Quickly has to start to make a play. 15 players need to go down. He might have an opportunity to out-heal this monster. 2 pizza slices, 3 med kits. He does have a full chug jug as well. I just wouldn't necessarily advise it as a solo.
This is crazy because while we've been watching Rezzy, just to his bottom left, you have Veno and Curve, and I saw Curve pick up 2 eliminations, by the way. So Rezzy's trying to find opportunity, and then you have someone like Curve just lacing up the lobby, and all the chances that might have been his in his general vicinity. So it couldn't be worse for Rezzy right now. For Clix and Higgs, though, this is the update I wanted. 500 above. They have no worries in the world right now in maximum material. What a clean rotate here. They're not quite safe just yet, but plenty of time to work with. No pressure right now for our position leaders for the most part.
This is where we could start to see an interesting end game. You see all the trees, Monster? You see every single one of those trees. Well, the thick ones, they have a huge amount of HP, and you can connect to them as well in this end game. And more of them as we go towards the south are going to be in play. So we're going to have teams that not only can contest the high ground, can hold on to it for longer than usual. Cold and Rapid try to make their way in, moving forward, almost run into Peterbot and Poyo as they're almost 1,000 damage above the threshold. Monster, this is one thing that you wanted to pay close attention to, and right now, from one game to the next, this is night and day here for Peterbot and Poyo.
Yeah, definitely. They're playing aggressive right now. It's almost as if they say, or are feeling like they need to earn a bunch of points if they want to stay competitive for first place. And they're playing like someone owes them something right now, big time. Meanwhile, Curve, though, as exceptional as he has been, he has lost Veno on the rotate here, so he's now left by himself. Meanwhile, you look to high ground, and look who it is. My, it's not a bird. It's Clix, it's Higgs up top right now, getting positioned.
Just like in a couple of the other games, I stopped asking myself when I see certain players going up the high ground, is it too early? I think Clix and Higgs have proved it's never too early for them to try to take that high ground, especially in a zone like this where you have all those trees that you can actually attach to maintain your position on height. But for now, Clix and Higgs just continue to look down below, realize the zone is going to force players not only out of their boxes, but to shockwave from point A to point B, and that's going to be the best chances they get to beam people out of the sky. You see a good amount of damage landing on Cold before he gets to the front side of the zone.
And you saw the hesitation there, just trying to see if Rapid was with them. Fortunately, ends up on a different layer there for a second, but reunited now. Looking to kind of reposition, refresh up. Up top, Clix and Higgs have this juggernaut of a positioning over the rest of the lobby, connected to that big trunk of the tree there, and they're just so high up that no one's going to be able to contest them, I don't think. So they might just be able to waltz their way into the end game. Muzz, Sphinx here fighting for what they can do right now. And they're starting to run out of material though, Jacob. This is getting really desperate for Muzz and Sphinx.
Yeah, but you can see Muzz just sliding through a couple of those closed boxes before he gets in zone. Clix and Higgs continue to elevate themselves higher and higher because they know the shockwave with the Fizz, anybody can contest that high ground in a moment's notice. We've already seen it throughout 2 games so far as Peterbot peaks at the perfect time, finds another knock. Elimination going to be cleaned up elsewhere. Even Sphinx going down. Acorn cleans up another elimination. You see in Threats going down in the corner. It just goes to show that these players that are on that mid layer are just bumping heads back and forth just to get inches in a game that seems a mile long.
Finally, Cold and Rapid get their first eliminations here in the end game. Bit uncharacteristic of them to not have a several set of elims right now, given how they like to play aggressively in these end games. But don't count them out just yet. Peterbot, Poyo continue to turn up here as well. Living off the refreshes right now. They have Osid in sight. They take them down so quickly. You can run, but you can't hide. Poyo and Peterbot for the first time playing side by side in the end game, and what feels like the entirety of today. Visuals, Braids on the other side, coming off that victory royale now. Still trying to maintain momentum here, but when you look to the high ground, not a soul has decided to contest Clix and Higgs just yet.
Yeah, I don't think there's very many opportunities. The way they have it set up as well, that one's clean. Poyo almost gets blocked off away from Peterbot, but he's not letting go. He's not giving up on his teammates, saying there's a huge strength in numbers. We have to make it count. Cold gets another elimination as well. You said it, there are 4 eliminations here, and they're looking for a couple more. Top 14 situation. There are 5 solo players running around this lobby. Make it 6 as another one gets separated, and you notice still not a single person has even looked up or even built a single box higher, and that's because of Clix and Higgs and constant pressure from above.
I'm just looking at Cold right now. He went from no elims to now 6 and a knock body down below. He needs that Siphon to turn online like now if he wants to stay alive here. There goes the mini shields to keep him in the game. Meanwhile, Peterbot in the bottom right is by himself, trying to clutch this one up right now. It's been the Poyo solo show all week long, and now it's up to Peterbot to show us what he's got.
Yep, 1 shockwave left, 5 build. Definitely is trying to pick the perfect moment to strike. Using the Fizz for the utility, not necessarily the shield. Cold is finally gone down. Rapid stuck outside of the zone. Acorn trying to cut off the path of Braids, but Braids takes him down. These trades going back and forth. 8 teams remain, but that's making 7 teams remain, Monster. 9 players in this game. Almost everybody left alive is solos. Rapid probably feeling the pressure. Gets a huge elimination. Peterbot as well, but he's out of build. Huge flank on the one. Almost gets chance down before he gets demolished himself.
A sliver of HP, and Peterbot would have had it and earned a little bit more, but Clix and Higgs are here on the high ground. They're looking to get another victory royale here and now. They want it more than everyone else. Rapid to solo. He gets finished up. Higgs is the one who does the job in the end there. And game 3, Jacob, lets Clix and Higgs off to the races.
Already, Monster, we have our first back-to-back victory royales from Clix and Higgs. They got their wonky land uncontested, and they're putting it to use, Zeke.
This is not a drill. Clix and Higgs won back-to-back games in Major 1 finals. We're doing it! Kelly, it's happening!
I feel like someone ordered some pizza, and Clix and Higgs are just the delivery drivers right now because they're holding on to those slices throughout the entire end game. I mean, I appreciate the pizza party. Who doesn't love that? But Clix and Higgs right now on high ground are having a party for 2. They are just absolutely dominating. And Vivid, you called it out. You said the word conditioning, and they conditioned the lobby, and it's only game number 3.
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy. Like you mentioned, it seemed like it was so chaotic over the course of game number 1, game number 2. Everybody wanted a little piece of the high ground. They were flying up. It seemed impossible to control. In game 3, it was a breeze. Nobody looked up. I don't even know what was going on in that lobby. We were so busy watching the eliminations that were kind of happening on the lower ground. People were going crazy down there, and Clix and Higgs, you know, again, one of those situations where what did they end the game with right there? Like 3 eliminations. I know I saw they had 2 in like 11 zone. No real refreshes are coming in, and they are somehow tarping the entirety of these end games from 8th zone throughout. Nobody's looking up, Kelly.
I will say, though, they're not tarping, and they keep doing that, where they're actually split, and they're kind of creating these 2 towers where Clix will launch forward at the front of zone, and they don't tarp over, which kind of saves their materials. It's now allowing Clix to kind of get these refreshes, or at least get some shots onto low ground. It's amazing, Zeke. And again, this is just halfway through day 1.
Can we get the back 3 back? That's all I want. That's all I want, back 3 back. Fortnite fan, we hope you are enjoying all of the action. That was game number 3. We still have 3 to go. First, a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at this lobby list. You're about to be in shock. We'll see you in just a moment.
Watch me arrive. got here. I'm popping in that bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds. No, max up.
Wait, if you're mid, wait.
100. 100. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? It's okay. Stay there.
We are back. Really quickly, I said lobby list. What I meant was standings. In case you're just tuning in, you've missed the fact that Clix and Higgs got 2 back-to-back victory royales in a major finals lobby. Now, I told you that you would be shocked. Now, remember, after game 2, we're like, Clix and Higgs should be in first place, right? Well, you know what's crazy? They are kind of in first place right now as we bring up the standings, but interestingly enough, Kelly, we are actually tied currently because Cold and Rapid decided, you know what we're going to do in this last game? We're going to get a second place with 11 eliminations. And here we are. Scores are tied.
I mean, Vivid, you're asking how, but between 9 and 20 eliminations, that right there is a 44-point difference. And if we look at their average placement, yes, Clix and Higgs do have a 2.33 average placement, but Cold and Rapid are right behind them with a 5.67 average placement. So we talked about it. We're going to talk about it again, that it doesn't just need one facet of your game to do well. You can't just grab a bunch of eliminations, or you can't just grab a bunch of wins. You have to be able to do both, and that is what Cold and Rapid are doing. They're making sure that they are making it to the end game every single time. For some reason, someone's giving them the mythic reloader, and this is what is allowing them to just have so much damage and so much control on the low ground that the teams that are on high ground, like Clix, is not even able to get any eliminations.
Ew. Oh my gosh.
Disgusting.
Rapid fending off, winning the 1v2 there on low ground. I didn't even catch that. But as you can see there, when we actually tuned into Rapid, when that solo clutch started, they were on 180 points when Cold went down. So Rapid himself, just being a solo in the end game, picking up 1v2s like that, picked up 30 points to put them on 210. So an incredible performance right there from Rapid to kind of keep them at the top of the leaderboard.
And that was the game that we were calling out for, right? Like right before this game, we were saying, we're kind of waiting for that big pop off Cold and Rapid game, and they just had it, right? And it's enough to go ahead and tie up first. We have a competition on our hands that is so crazy. Man, even Agers and Ritual right now holding on. And I think what's crazy too, if you look in 5th place, Peterbot and Poyo, right? We've kind of continued to see Pete and Poyo get in the situation where one of them is left solo. But even in these tough situations, they're only 60 points behind. Like, this isn't like, hey, first place is like 100 points behind or like over 100. Like, we saw what one good game can do for Cold and Rapid, right? Peterbot and Poyo, they just need that one game. And then suddenly, like, that gap closes, right?
Yeah, Peterbot and Poyo right now are kind of just, I think they're failing from too much success. They're doing too much on the mid ground right now, and that's kind of putting them into these a little bit of rough positions because they're being so aggressive, because they're looking around at all these different angles on the mid ground. They're getting kind of like chopped out. They're getting pulled out so that they're ending up being a solo over and over again. And although it is Peterbot, and if anyone can run a solo game, it's going to be him. Eventually, you are going to need to be a full duo going into the end game right now. And I think that is just the slight issue that we're having with Peterbot and Poyo. But I say that, and if you look historically, Peterbot and Poyo are a day 2 team. They're already climbing up the leaderboard, Vivid. So although they might not be having the first 3 games that they want, it is definitely not the end for this duo.
Yeah, I think the larger theme here of the fact that still towards the top of our leaderboard, even like the top 10, it still feels like an incredibly close competition, even though we just had, over the course of 3 games, a team win 2 of those games. So crazy stuff kind of happening over here on NA. Every single team, every one of our top teams is picking up points some way, somehow, and they're keeping themselves in the fight.
Oh my gosh, dude. Viv, talk to me about the damage numbers right now. You looked
Dude,
up a
this is
stat.
cool.
I love you're the stat guy. Hit me with these stats right now. Oh man.
Over the course of the first 3 games, this is how our damage ratios are kind of breaking down. Clix and Higgs individually both find themselves in first and second place, which I just think is crazy, because going into game number 3 right here, it kind of panned out like this as well. Like Clix was up there like 5+. So I was like, oh my gosh, I want to take a look at the damage ratio after game 3. Got better. His damage ratio increased somehow after game number 3. And if you remember how game number 1 and game number 2 kind of panned out, how many people were going up for high ground, how many people were fighting them for it, and they still had like these incredibly positive damage ratios. And again, game number 3, that one, yeah, it's kind of justifiable because, you know, we talked about how nobody looked up towards high ground, so it makes sense that they didn't really take that much damage, but those guys are playing super, super good.
That's just wild to me, because we would talk so highly of Cold back when he would get like a 3.0 damage ratio.
Yeah.
That was almost unheard of. And yes, we are only halfway through. I'm sure those numbers are going to be adjusted as the tournament goes on, but absolutely incredible showing from Clix.
Yeah, and I think if we could just get nitpicky for like a second, right? And this is kind of like we're kind of like talking about this a little bit before break, but yes, we love that they're getting the victory royales, right? But we're not hitting those like elim thresholds that we need to be seeing, right? That's why Cold and Rapid suddenly shoot up the standings, right? Because remember, we have that extra point, Kelly, and it doesn't sound like a lot. 1 more point, okay, big deal. But these elims, they will very quickly stack up, especially if you hit double digits.
I mean, when you consider 1 point is, I said 25% before last time, I was wrong. 33% increase is a huge stat increase for any number. And of course, when it's eliminations, when there are teams that focus on eliminations, having you just eventually just go up to them and be like, hey, that tournament that you just did, let's give you 33% more points for your eliminations. And if you look at some of these Div Cup finals, if you have it in the format for grand finals, where it's 4 points per elimination, it would be very different teams in the top of our leaderboard.
Yeah. Zeke's greedy, man. He wants more. He's like, yeah, looks like I got 2 wins. I want elims. Like, dude.
Don't, why are you putting my, you know what? Casters help. Just take it away.
Yeah, I want to give credit to Clix and Higgs. I think what we're watching is the best team as far as positioning and decision making, going against the best team at eliminating and running things on the low and mid ground right now. And again, it's only 3 games in, right, Jacobs? But the identity is starting to take shape for these duos.
Yeah, it just almost seems, especially for like Clix and Higgs, is they are going to win this major one or lose this major one for something they did or didn't do in their own right. They have full control over their own destiny here. A little bit of a passive game plan here. That's how they've been able to get 2 victory royales, Monster, and they're tied for first place. I don't want to cause any curses, but could this be the major? We're already done with half of day number 1. We're jumping into game 4 to start the second half.
This game 4 is going to be an important one. It's going to be the solidifying factor of how did you do generally here on the day. All you need is a good 4 games to be very much in a race to contest a championship weekend. And we are already 3 down. Well, one thing's for certain though, Jacob, no one's playing super perfect just yet, right? Every duo so far has a little bit more to be desired in one area or another.
I was gonna say Sniper Dude and Avenger reaching on over to this side of the map to try to take on Jack and Npen. Avenger and Sniper Dude, they were landing on the eastern side of the map, almost triple contesting their drop. I thought they were maybe gonna make their way on over towards Wonky Land, because that is where they have been playing time in and time out, whether if it's a divisional cup or the actual finals lobbies. They're trying to switch things up more so in their favor. Paper and Rezi. Split drop here. You can see the 2 differences. Top of the mountain, inside of the house. And Teeks already getting a good amount of damage onto Paper as he tries to make his way down.
Yeah, great amount of damage right there being secured. Rezi just opting to back up and get to the usual plan here for the loots. The opponents back off as well. Anyway, Clix. Higgs on the other side. Still, so far, no team has decided to give them any friction just yet. Everyone's somewhat sticking to their strategy, sticking to the game plan, if you will. It's a quick highlight, though. We're at the Sanctuary. Nice little elim here for Sinwatch.
Got Chimp over here on this side of the map. This side of the map is just so stacked. Even if you're uncontested, it's never easy to make your way on out. Chimp sees a battle in the distance, easily third parties in for a good amount of damage, forcing Ruins to go down low. Catman getting knocked all together. The team actually officially eliminated thanks to more than one team looking on over in this direction. It's not slowing down either. Zypta, Void making their way on over, hearing some of the noise, and they're just trying to figure out what is it all about.
I was going to say, remember, Zypta and Void were just putting some shots onto paper in Resi there, so interesting to see how many teams are willing to quickly rotate towards the Sanctuary to get in on the action here. In the end, though, everything seems to settle down now, Jacob.
Ooh,
What's this?
whole different approach. You know, they must have been listening to the stream. Zeke was like, I want elims. Kelly's saying 4 points per. We could probably see a different leaderboard if that's how it's going to be. Clicks and Higgs say, you know what? Things have been decided by less than one elimination. The majors have proven. The last three, all last year, Monster, were all decided by either 4 or less eliminations, proving that it could be the difference maker here, even with 2 wins, tied in first place with Cold and Rapid, who, guess what, Monster, have been picking up eliminations. So Clicks and Higgs trying to take a page out of their own playbook here, trying to go aggressive for the north side of the map instead of just sitting at Wonky Land and letting teams and damage pass you by.
I like it. It seems like this game, they had a bit of a different strategy. Obviously, early game fight's super important, but more importantly is they recognize, hey, the zone's right on top of us. So they kind of pull this card out of the books there. They love to see it. Back on over to Veno and Curve, also staying relatively dynamic. No lurk plays for this one. This is another just full-on clash happening here in front of us. Great tag so far. Curve thinking about going in for the shockwave there for a second. Oh, those are some big tags. Wouldn't be surprised if now's the time.
Yeah, I was about to say, now it's Shockwave. Shockwave, just thinking in my head, Curve does exactly that. Shockwave's over. Close the distance, reunites with Veno, trying to take 2 different approaches. Electro just trying to hold him off, but the persistence is there, not only from one, but both of these players. But Veno goes down. He enters into the box, 2v1. Electro and Ult get that elimination. Curve with no shield, honestly 55 HP, almost 1 shot away from going down. You know they're going to be on the chase.
They're coming in quick. Tyler and Chance are moving in fast as well here. Curve, though, doesn't get caught out by the visual audio cue there while he was eating pizzas. Lucky for him. And look, he actually had to ditch what was left of the box just to stay low here. Take a look, though. We haven't seen Veno lose a fight like this here. Not today. He's been winning these for the most part, but Electro just connects with some big tags there.
Right before we went into the replay, Monster, I saw them stealing his pizza. Curve, man, how can you let them do that? But hey, sometimes you just gotta let them run away with it, or at least think they can, so that way you can hopefully get Veno back into the game. Consistency is definitely going to be key throughout the weekend. Yes, we do have our top 2, but you see a little bit of a gap start to open up from 3rd and down, and honestly, that's going to continue to be the case here for top 13 overall is what's going to make it to the Summit Land. So you see not just first place FNCS, not just the mountains of prize money, but just to keep your journey to globals alive.
You know, we were all curious on how Rituals and Aegis Storm Surge strategy was going to work out in the early game. So far, we haven't quite seen their definitive route, but we are seeing a little sample of it. Aegis just playing that high ground right now, looking to tag any teams in the general area who are boxing and or rotating around, and seem to be playing their drop very deep into the storm, and so far it's working for them, right? As they're finding themselves in the top 5. Peterbot, Boya, different strat for them now. Playing the big base here as well. Last game, they were pretty much boots on the ground, keying into boxes and teams anywhere in the vicinity. But for all we know, Peterbot is looking to call a target out.
You know, there was a time a few months ago, before FNCS Divisional Cups even started, and Peterbot was kind of taking a little bit of a break. Players were looking at Clicks and Higgs saying they are the team to beat. Higgs is the best player in the game right now. Everybody was saying it's off season, it doesn't matter, Peterbot's not trying. Guess what? Divisional cups roll around, the same type of conversation continues to start up, and guess what? Peterbot shows up, he shuts down the talk. But now that FNCS is actually here, we got Clix and Higgs proving that, hey, maybe teams were calling it a little early, but they could be right with the way they've been playing so far. But you have to watch out. Not only those two teams I mentioned, but Cold and Rapid as well. Rapid has been on an insane hot streak to start the year. He's even had a second place in years prior with Higgs in a different tournament. So he has right now a good as chance as anybody else to probably win this tournament.
It's crazy when you think reputation. To have a reputation like Codes where it's like, don't worry, he's going to show up and do what he needs to do is actually just incredible. He is doing it so far here today. Again, we're only 3 games in. It would be silly of us to call it, right? There's a lot of Fortnite ahead of us, and I'm sure we're going to see tons of adjustments, especially not only for the last 2 games, but leaning into tomorrow. Who's going to pick up their replays and come up with some new strategies? We will, of course, have to see that. Visual and Braids continuing somewhat of the pace, if you will, right? Game 1 was a victory. Obviously, the last 2, not quite so, but they've still managed to stay very much in the competition so far. They're looking like a shoo-in potentially for the land spot.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of their drop spot here. A little bit of a split drop just outside of Dark Dominion. You see the Fun Factory, the Carmine Lodge. It's kind of the split in between the two. No matter where the zone actually pulls, they set up on that mountain, because whether it pulls north, south, east, or west, chances are teams are going to have to rotate through them, or at least the paths where they can get shots. And we tune into Curve, still forced to lurk around. They are just waiting for him there. Even when you can buy reboot cards, Curve is just left with very few choices here. As Avenger and Sniper Dude, I talk about them possibly making their return to Wonky Land. It wasn't at the start of this game, but they're still making their presence known over here.
Higgs Clix already looking to secure some eliminations right now. Again, nothing has come of it just yet. There's a team there. Obviously, Higgs is eyeing them up. I'm pretty sure they recognize there's that duo behind that wall there. Clix, though, has a lot to be desired when it comes to the overall loadout just so far. That material count looking a bit light. Comes the big super pad setup right now for Acorn and Bolts. They're playing this rotate through the dead side of the storm. They actually want to opt to stay in the storm. You can see the marker coming out there.
Yeah, and because we saw what Clix and Higgs, Sniper Dude, Avenger, even saw Cole and Madden all converging over towards Wonky Land, this is going to make it essentially a free rotation towards the western edge of the map. All the teams that could land those shots are already busy, focused on entirely something else. Just trying to stay alive, trying to get Surge, so we should see Acorn and Bolts in a good position this game around. And better late than never in the second half of the day, trying to play catch up to what's been going on around you throughout the game so far. Listen and Aloe, same thing so far, 16 points. Half of those coming in this game alone, contested towards the new Sanctuary. They're able to pick up those 2 eliminations, and sometimes you just need a big moment like that to get things going.
As we're watching this, I'm still thinking about Curve, who was sitting at the reboot card while Electro and company were just lurking, holding it down. Talk about that team. You can see in the distance here, Threats actually putting down some shots onto them as they thought they were slick hiding out there. And for Threats and Veer, they might have just saved Veno's tournament here if that distraction's enough for Electro and crew to have to make a move.
Still relatively early, 1 tick, storm damage, plenty of time to decide. See, Listen, Aloe rotating on over towards Sus Studios, one of the last teams. Say from this side of the map, you'd still do a couple more over towards New Sanctuary, but they're just kind of making a pit stop here, healing up before they make their rotation on out. And you see the zip line, they're not necessarily going to carry that into the end of the game. They're just going to use it for right now. That way they can make this rotation just a little bit easier. As Penta spots an opportunity in the distance, he immediately goes after it.
This is crazy. Curve is actually 300 damage above the Surge somehow. Still as a solo. It looks like he might have been putting up a strong defense against Zyfta there for a second. And now contemplating if it's time to go for the reboot. But of course, he's going to make a quick pit stop here for the machine. See if he can pick up some heals to go in and sustain himself here in the storm. I mean, odds. What do you think the odds are looking like right now for Curve here?
I believe in Curve. I believe in Curve. I think he's the new era when it comes to NA Central. He's had some big moments in the past, even before teaming with Veno. It's just Neo, it's just lurking around. You see Noisy, you see Listen, you see Allo. And so, yeah, you might think they have to go to zone, but for Curve, he's still being hunted down. Look at it in the mini-map. They might have spotted him out. You hear the shockwaves going off. First shot's going to connect on the Curve. The second one as well. Less than 5 HP. Time is not on his side to get the med kits off. Neo and Noisy. I'm not sure where they got a glimpse of Curve, but they really made that little moment count.
Yeah, Curve needed to just overbuild right there, get a couple splashes out and try to survive. But unfortunately, he couldn't put up the offense needed. And they fall in 10th positioning now. That's going to be a really tough one to deal with now as we're in game 4. So we're getting deep into the tournament day 1 here. Rapid, on the other hand, just kind of healing up right now. Still haven't secured any new points here. Nothing fresh earned.
I think that's the difference between Cold and Rapid and some of the other teams is they not only get all the gold, they don't necessarily wait to access the vending machine. They buy their med kits early, so it's much safer for them to sit up there and wait the storm out before they start to rotate in. See, Agers, Ritual, decent loadout, having to rotate. Jargu and Carillion, 1 elimination so far, 600 damage above the threshold. Things can definitely change on course of this rotation. You see them rotating right behind Agers and Ritual. They make a quick peek, try to get some damage. Don't really find too much success, but at least they keep themselves moving.
Sphinx dropped here on this moving zone right now. Muzz is getting chased here. They're looking to try to finish this one up. It might not have been their Elim, but they definitely had influence in it. You can see the loot just sitting here as the lobby all kind of focusing in here and now. Boy and Peterbot do have to be careful, though, not to end up like game 2, fully focused by the remaining lobby. And Muzz barely skates out of there. But, you know, I wanted to say one thing about Cold and Rapid. Last game, they had no Elims going in. End game, and then all of a sudden they just took off, rocketing their way straight up. So that is going to be where they shine the most so far. And this game is looking exactly like that. Meanwhile, Agers and Ritual, though, Jacob, here are 50 damage below right now.
Yeah, first thing that popped in my mind as we tune in, uh-oh. Not where I expected this team to be going into FNCS. Constant struggles here at Forster, just below the threshold for sure. Depending on where the next zone goes, they might have to go up the side of the mountain, but they see solo players trying to work their way in. They do land a couple of shots, but I was going to say not necessarily enough to get above, but they do jump 65 damage above that threshold. Not enough to continue to hold that confidence, but for now, it's them grabbing a breath of fresh air, letting the lobby kind of settle. They have almost a max pool, just like a few other teams, so they're just trying to pinpoint where they're going to start using those shockwaves to make it in.
So a little glimpse of CDZ and Raven still in the game right now. This is their first mid-game that we've seen them develop in. The eyes are on Muzz right now. 40 damage above, no Sphinx in sight. Still have at least earned themselves a single Elim this game, so it's not a 0-point game. It's a big shockwave here, though. He's got to find himself in a position to actually take a fight or something. But no, look at this. Clix and Higgs. Higgs is down. Clix, no heals. Barely anything else to work with. He's got the damage, but he needs a siphon. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh. I'm watching Muzz kind of go crazy as we tune in. Higgs is already down. You can see Clix in his struggle here. He's already picked up the elimination. No, he does not
So
make
close.
it over in time. Higgs goes down. That kind of leaves a lot of pressure onto Clix. Top 34 monster placement points have yet to set in, so this is only a 4-point game so far for Clix and that one elimination. You see he's looking for more opportunities. No shield, no HP, not even a shockwave to boost himself forward, so he has to burn through his materials before he's eventually taken down. The back-to-back will not be a back-to-back-to-back.
Yeah, and that was crazy for him to get the siphon right there to kind of stay in the game. It was looking like there was hope for a moment, but it's just not going to be enough. So down goes Clix very early in this game before the positioning gets to get rewarded for the rest of the lobby. Cold and Rapid have a chance now to break away. Everyone else inside the top 10 has a chance now to jump up. Peterbot, Boyo need to take advantage of this opportunity. Muzz still holding on. Hey, don't count him out. He's in roughly top 6th or 7th there himself.
This is gonna be a big moment right here. Feedback Boyo just gearing up, ready, and I was just kind of thinking with Clix and Higgs down, it's not only Cold and Rapid in which you were talking about, it's Agers and Ritual as well. It's about a 50-point gap between that first and second place tie, and Agers and Ritual are sitting in third place. And so with only a 4-point game for Clix and Higgs, they're definitely going to try to close that gap, hopefully try to take that top 2 spot after this game. Acorn and Bolts, a couple of speed bumps in their journey so far, but they're looking like here in the second half of the day, they finally figured out how to make things work, rotating underneath the bridge, but you can see not a lot of material or resources left on the Agers.
This is what they do best, though, finding eliminations right now. These big pivotal moments here where placement points and elims are going to start propelling you up the standings. Cold and Rapid at the front side of zone, nothing to worry about right now. They're going to surely be breaking away here if they keep getting this amount of runway to work with. Cold shockwaves deep into the storm there. It was worth it. He picks up a bunch of extra heals, material, and everything else now. So Rapid and Cold, like we said, just at the start of this, have proven to be the strongest low ground team so far here in the lobby, and they're not switching up the strategy at all right now.
Yeah, they get the front side of the zone and immediately return back, starting to build up, giving them time to work with. Even with Acorn and Bolts trying to go ahead and shockwave over, they have a little bit of elevation advantage. Acorn and Bolts going to be stuck underneath. Quick couple of shots going to fire off in their direction. They're going to hold their position. 336 though above the damage threshold. No real reason to peek, but they're just trying to build that cushion. 4 players go down. Storm Surge no longer in this game. And for Agers, it's not necessarily Storm Surge he has to worry about. It's the lack of HP. It's the 0 builds. He needs a miracle here.
Yeah, and I still saw Muzz playing solo as well right now, but look at this. Talk about solos. Pollo is by himself in this end game right now. So close to making it out the edge of zone. He is going to make it. Could find elimination here potentially, but no, not enough shots inside the magazine there. Still though, does need to splash himself here. Goes for the material first and gets shot while going for it. That little bit of shield being the difference maker to keep him in the game right now. He knows there's danger ahead of him. Forcing himself to build right now. Use the shockwave to give himself that unlimited stamina here now too. Agers falls on the left. Boya falls shortly behind him in the runway. The opportunity to catch up comes to a close there, and things remain competitive now on the standings. Meanwhile, Bolts and Acorn get off the low ground into the high ground here now.
It's a good chance for Bolts and Acorn to play a little catch up. Coming into this game, Monster, they were at 9th place, 126 points. No Clix and Higgs in this lobby. For the past couple games, it's been them going for high ground, which opens up an opportunity for anybody else if they're daring enough to take it. Reet and Cooper almost picking up an elimination. You can see the desperation in their materials, almost fresh out, and you see Reet going down, just kind of leaves Cooper by himself, trying to hide in that mist, make sure no one could see him, maybe pop off a big shot while he can. Cold and Rapid, though, this is their chance to extend their lead in first place. They were tied up when this game started. Now they're almost at 250 plus points.
Big pressure coming in from Acorn up above. That's almost the decision maker to send Cold back to the lobby, but the pressure's coming in. They see the mist as well, so that's why the shots are focusing in on them. And Bolts and Acorn are recognizing this is their immediate competition right here. This is the threat in the lobby. Who's daring to hold the second height? That's the team they want to send back. Great tracking so far. As now we get to see Braids and Visuals on the bottom right. So far, so good for them. They are slowly creeping their way back up the standings here. From that game 1 victory royale to a strong game 4 right here. They're positioned very well. They're just a couple elims away from being inside the top 3 now. Meanwhile, Jacob, look at this. Cooper is by himself here.
Yep, global champion here, forced in another clutch situation. Good damage, unfortunately enough, not enough to get the elimination. Would have been helpful for the Siphon. Wager Slepsy getting approached. They're forced to scramble outside of the box. They go 2 different directions, though. So they don't necessarily have the strength in numbers anymore. As Slepsy gets tagged up, Wagers goes down. Into the wrong box he goes, and what a perfect elimination for Cold. Only thing he was missing there was the HP, and now he picks up the Siphon, looking for more. Slepsy in his path along with Veer. They get good damage. No eliminations just yet, but they're staying persistent, making sure to push them further and further outside of the zone.
That's the problem. If you were hoping Cold and Rapid were going to fall early, well, guess what? They made it deep into the top 10 now. Rapid is going to fall here, but Cold follows up. Clutches get the full elimination there too, and the Siphon keeps him in the game. Meanwhile, back to Acorn's perspective, just 30 mats now. That's not a winning amount of material just yet, so don't count them just in. But hold up, I'm still seeing visuals alive. I'm seeing a lot of solos here, Jacob. This is not looking too hot for the low ground teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, Visual's run comes to an end here. Madden goes down. Cole is still left alive, though. It's essentially solos versus duos up above. Veer and Cole down below. Their clash, and Bolts is ready to steal away the eliminations. Remember, 4 points per. Those eliminations could be the difference, but Cole is able to get the elimination onto Veer. That's 4 more points for them, but he's in a tough situation against Acorn, against Bolts, front side of the zone. Medkit just in case, and they're ready to chop it down. No instant retakes for you as Cole's trying to make a mad dash. His only chance to make it in towards the zone. He gets coned off again, and that opportunity goes out the window. Acorn and Bolts have finally woken up here in the second half of the day to take the VR.
And if you was looking at the standings, you wouldn't have even thought they were in the race at 128 coming into this game. Acorn and Bolts do it in game number 4 there, Zeke.
You see, MDF? You see it every time you think like, oh, it's all good. Like it just takes one game, a single game, and we knew going into that game that 210 was tied at first. They end with to 11, so we know they're probably going to be in the top 5, if not even higher up the leaderboard. Oh my gosh, Acorn and Bolts, let's go. Like the casters point out, they are alive. Guys, this is a live situation. Everything is going crazy.
It is going quite crazy right now, but I do love to see Acorn and Bolts, as we heard Jacob say, finally wake up right now. And it did seem like in that game, a lot of our top teams were struggling a little bit, potentially going down. And so that top 5, as you're saying, Zeke, it's quite possible, Vivid.
Crazy stuff. Obviously, we did see, unfortunately, a couple of our top teams, those that are typically found on the high ground over here on this region did go down early, so good recognition there for Acorn and Bolts to realize, hey, listen, high ground might be our opportunity to kind of go up there, and as soon as they secured high